So, what happens when an official distillery releases a bottle that's slightly off profile and different than what they normally do? Well, this is a great example of that. Welcome to Whiskey Catapult, where we catapult around the world trying whiskeys from all over the world. Get a nice little pop there. So, this is Glengoyne. So, we're catapulting over to the Highlands in Scotland for an interesting release from theirs. So, this is, put the cap back on, Glengoyne Legacy Series. This is Chapter 2 that was released in 2020. It is bottled at 48%, and it is marked as natural color. Now, it doesn't say on the bottle that it's non-chill filtered, but while I was getting tasting notes for this ready, the glasses got cloudy for this one. So it doesn't say that it's non-chill filtered. There's a pretty good chance it is. It's also 48%, so not really a reason to do so. But that would be my expectations, is that it's not, despite it saying that, not saying that it's on there, which is actually a bummer. I feel like they should have added that. That's kind of good information for Scotch enthusiasts such as myself. Um, but I've been enjoying Glengoyne. They've been a fun alternative to like Macallan. They usually have a very rich sherry whiskey. That's kind of their focus. This one's a little bit different. So they've got 3 chapters of their Legacy Series release. I've had all 3. My next review is actually going to be Chapter 3. I've finished Chapter 1. Very good, very on profile, very sherry forward. Kind of had like a classic old type Scotch kind of feel to it. This one, however, I believe was bottled for one of their new owners back when they bought the company. Didn't see a whole lot of other information about it. It seemed kind of like a bunch of marketing fluff. But they did break down the cask influence for this one. So this one is 48% first fill bourbon, 35% refill cask, doesn't specify which kind, and 17% first fill sherry. So normally Glengoyne leans more into the sherry side of whiskeys. They're kind of in that vein of Macallan and Tamdu, where that's kind of their bread and butter. But this one being not quite the opposite, but leaning more into the bourbon cast, had me interested. And since I'd had Chapter 1 and enjoyed that one, I figured this would be a good pickup. Yeah, there's very light sherry on this one, but it's very sweet. It's light, little malty note, and a little bit of fruit. Kind of a lighter fruit. It's a very nice nose. Even at 48%, I figured this would be a little bit more potent, but it's nice. Yep. Still light on the palate. You can definitely tell it's got more ex-bourbon than sherry on here. The sherry is very light, but the ex-bourbon casks kind of overtake it with some vanilla, a little bit of funk. Almost has like a ripe fruit note in there. Some barrel spice. And actually a little bit of honey. Yeah, it's a nice change of pace from, if you're a fan of Glengoyne, this is a good, it's not too different, but it shifts it because you could get a Glengoyne that's finished in a different cask, like port or virgin oak or something along those lines, and it would be, I'd imagine, vastly different. But given that most of their core range still just use ex bourbon and ex sherry, this is just kind of has that different balance. So it's kind of fun to experience compared to some of the regular releases. Yeah, the finish lingers a bit. It kind of has some of that sherry, kind of light fruit notes in there. Not a whole lot, but it lingers enough to where it's kind of enticing to make you want to come back for more. It is kind of on that sweet side, kind of like a powdered sugar, almost sweetness. But yeah, I bought a bottle of Glengoyne 10-year-old a good while back, and I thought it was great. I think it was like $45 when I got it, And I actually did a blind with it with a friend of mine who's a big Macallan fan. Macallan 12 was his daily drinker at the time. And I did a blind comparison next to each other. And he barely picked out Macallan 12. It is more of a, I like that one just a little bit more, which I figured he would. But it's also like half the price of Macallan 12. So it was a pretty good alternative. And I've kind of enjoyed Glengoyne since then. And anytime you can release a higher proof release that kind of does things a little bit different, you got my attention. And this bottle was $90, and I still see it available. So it is still available online. I'm sure there's some other stores that still have this one around. I see Chapter 2 and Chapter 3 pretty readily available. So I'm not sure how limited edition of a run it was. I don't see Chapter 1 very often. And they don't say like how many balls was in it or anything like that. But if you like Glengoyne, it's worth checking out. Or if you're more of a bourbon cask Scotch drinker and you want a little bit of sherry, this is a good alternative as well. Yeah. So is that light sweetness. There's a sherry undertone there, but you get those nice spice vanilla from the bourbon cask. That honey just kind of flows in towards the end. It's really enjoyable. Yeah, not really any burn on it either. I'm gonna add just a little bit of water. See if that opens it up a bit more. But I do like when distilleries do this, and it is more about the whiskey than the story. Like like I said, this one they bottled for one of their owners who purchased the distillery. I imagine changed some things and stuff like that. So this was kind of an homage to him. But it all seemed kind of like marketing stuff, so I don't really care all that much. But the cask breakdown I do care about because that's what's going to influence the whiskey. So Chapter 3 has a more, I hate to say ridiculous story, but a much less interesting one. But I'll talk about that one in the next review. Okay, the nose is a little bit lighter. A little bit more of that funk actually shows up. But it's still pretty sweet. The fruit's kind of dissipated a bit. But it's still nice. That honey hits way earlier with the water now. It almost hides the sherry back a little bit. Man, that honey is dominating. Still has a little bit of the spice. Fruits are there a little bit, but not very much. Okay. Spice comes through more on the tail end. So, wow. That honey just really pops in there. And they said, let's see, pale golden color with an exceptionally fruity nose, pineapple, peaches, honeydew melon, and a subtle sprinkle of cinnamon. I don't get any of that, unfortunately. Because those do sound pretty good. Although I guess the cinnamon could be the spice that I'm picking up, now that I think about it. But I could be influenced by reading this just a little bit. But I definitely get the honey. Yeah, this one's a fun one. So for $90, I'm fine with it. This one would probably lean into more because it's different than the regular Glengoyne profile. I would say this one's probably a little bit more of a try before you buy if you're a Glengoyne fan, or if you just really like sherry bombs and that's why you lean towards Glengoyne. This one's going to be a little off profile. It's fun. It's different. I'm happy with the purchase. Doesn't really stand out to me as one that I'd go after again for a backup bottle, but it's very different, but not extreme to where, like I said, if they were to do a cast finish like port or virgin oak or something, way out of left field that they don't normally do. I know they have I believe they have a Mizunara oak cask, one that's released recently. It's very expensive. I will not be buying that one. Some of the higher tier Glengoynes are on the expensive side. But this one fitting in that nice, $90 ballpark is pretty good. It's not an age statement, unfortunately. I'd be curious to know what kind of went into this one. But yeah, it's solid. I like it. And it's a nice bottle too. I like the simplistic design. A lot of the whiskey stands out. They actually have, let's see it here, an embossed goose here on the back. Since Glengoyne is Gaelic for Valley of the Geese. But nice one to have on the shelf if you care about such things. Yeah, man, that honey really strikes through. This would be a good whiskey to have for a hot toddy. I don't know how to add this one just because of the price, but man, that really sticks out. Pretty good. So yeah, I'd recommend it. Like I said, it's $90. You can still find it available, but I'm a fan of Glengoyne, so I like most of the stuff that they release. But I think the highest I've gone from their releases is the 18-year. I've had that one, and it was fine, a little pricey. I think that one was about $190 at the time when I got it, which definitely a splurge. I don't know if it was worth that. And their teapot dram, which is very good. I know most of the time you can only get that through the distillery or their own website. As of right now, they don't ship to the States. That could change in the future, but at the time of this recording, they don't. I got a couple of teapot drams from auction for pretty reasonable price. I think it was like less than 120. So if you find a couple of those or have the opportunity to buy one, I'd recommend it. Those are really good. But this one's a fun one. Nice little off profile, more leaning on the bourbon side. So yeah, I enjoyed this one. So if you enjoyed this review, hit the like button and subscribe to see where we catapult off to next. Cheers.